Good morning and welcome to Cheche, the program where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm Odwaka Mimo. Well, today's guest was in the news at the weekend because he, along with two fellow presidential hopefuls from Western Kenya, met, we're told, to trim their numbers. But beyond his presidential ambition, Moses Wetangula is Kenya's trade minister, the leader of the Ford Kenya party and the member of parliament representing Sirisia. Also with us are our panelists, Mutegi Njau of Citizen TV and David Makali, journalist and political commentator. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning,
So we hadn't heard much from you until this weekend when you and your fellow aspirants to the presidency met to strategize. We're told about, the presidential bids emanating from Western Kenya.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, everybody in the country at this time of our political season is talking. Everybody's strategizing, and we are no exception. We responded to an invitation by Francis Atwoli, who is an elder in our community, to go and have a cup of tea, as it were, with him at the Mara Serena. We responded, and we had a good meeting, I must say. The outcome of the meeting was that it is desirable that looking at what's going on in the country and seeing what others are doing, a good, strong presidential candidate should have a good, strong base, as it were. And you know very well that all over the world, all politics are local. You have to start somewhere to build on to elsewhere. The discussions will still be ongoing. Atwoli is out of the country. Sali and I and Jironga are around. And he's indicated that he'll draw in others who may add value to the discussions. These discussions are purely without prejudice. If they yield good results, it will be wonderful. If they don't, so be it.
How come you excluded another presidential candidate from the same region? He wasn't invited, or he declined to come?
First of all, I wasn't the inviting person.
But were you concerned that he's not there, if you want unity?
You know, these coalitions are coalitions of the willing. And according to Francis Atwoli, he invited everybody. Not everybody turned up. You don't have to wait to be 100% quorum to start a discussion. There are those who can come along as you move on. There are those who normally would wait and see how the game is going for them to jump in the ring. And there are those who even wait to reap benefits where they have planted nothing. This is part of
But the question is, did you have to be invited? Why didn't you just meet among yourselves as leaders? And speaking of which, I mean, there have been previous initiatives between you and Eugene to unite the two Ford Kenyas, New Ford Kenya and New Ford Kenya, which don't seem to have yielded any fruits.
I have said, and for avoidance of doubt, I can say it again, that if there is a possibility of uniting not just communities but even the country, I'll be the first on the queue. Because this country has gone through a very, very tortuous history from 1992, 93. Those of you who watch our politics, we have lost lives at every electoral cycle.
But when you say uniting the country, it's and you're meeting as presidential candidates coming from Western Kenya, it suggests that you still subscribe to the ethnic politics that Kenyans are trying to get away from.
Not necessarily. Look at the presidential candidates. The Prime Minister Raila Odinga has his ethnic base wrapped up. Uhuru Kenyatta has his ethnic bloc vote wrapped up. Kalonzo Musyoka has his ethnic bloc vote wrapped up. There will be no problem in the Luhya nation coming together, speaking with one voice and going to the public arena and saying, look, gentlemen, any table you go to where people are discussing issues, they'll say, what have you come with? This is politics, and you can't run away from it.
Politics of ethnicity.
It is not necessarily politics of ethnicity, it's politics of blocks. Grassroots blocks.
Are you a presidential candidate?
Of course I am a presidential candidate.
And what are you doing about that?
And you know very well.
I don't believe so.
You saw on Thursday last week, I was having a massive meeting with my candidates from all over the country. If I'm not a presidential candidate, what would I be doing holding rallies in Kilifi, in Tana River, in Kwale, in Trans Nzoia, in Turkana, everywhere?
Raising your premium.
If I was simply a candidate in my constituency, I know its boundaries. If I was a candidate in my county, I know its boundaries.
But what hope do you have, really, looking at where you stand right now and how the rest are running? You haven't wrapped in your best, as you say. It's too late, in my view.
Opinion polls put you at less than 1%.
You don't even feature on the opinion polls.
Don't worry about
1%.
that. Those opinion polls sometimes are manipulated, sometimes they are skewed, but the bottom line is,
if you are tops, you won't be top.
When you want something, and you are focused, and you are determined, you go for it. And I am going for it. Secondly, you shouldn't be that simplistic by saying, where are you featuring, where are you featuring? When you go to the New York Marathon, the winner may be Martin Lell, but how many people start? Everybody is given an opportunity to run.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, let's just go back to the matter of the unity of New Food Kenya and Your Food Kenya. What exactly happened? Why didn't it materialize?
Like I said, was very genuine in responding to the calls of our elders, our youths, and our...
When you say ours, you mean the Luya community? Or
within the framework of New Fort Kenya and Fort Kenya, it was in fact Luya. It goes down to the Bukusu sub-tribe of the Luya. And there's a lot of concern from leaders of all shades that it will be desirable to work together with the Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. I and Wakoli Bifoli, who belong to the same party, genuinely and openly embrace the idea. Unfortunately, we can't say the same of the other side. And there is no point in engaging in an exercise in futility.
What is the real problem? Why can't it be? Why can't it happen?
You know, there are people who are real people, and there are people who are puppets of others. So the puppets of others dance to how the strings are pulled from behind them.
So let's be clear. Are you saying that Honorable Eugene Wamalwa is a puppet?
Well, if you followed what I said, you don't need to ask that.
No, let's be clear,
Yes.
because you're saying that there are real people and there are people who are not real.
Yes.
So who is unreal? Who is being marioneted?
I lead a party. I don't get myself pulled from strings from whichever direction. When I say I want to talk to Atwoli, I talk to Atwoli. When I say I want to talk to Makali, I'll talk to Makali. I'll not go to consult anybody whether talking to you is right or wrong. I can't say the same of those I was talking to.
Okay, this wasn't the first time that this Luya unity thing was coming up. I mean, there was a funeral at which I think Jirongo, yourself again, you know.
That is the Manguliechi funeral.
The Manguliechi funeral.
Yeah,
yes.
that is what sprang the idea of talking with you.
Yes. And it includes other communities, well, sub-communities within the Luya. Jirongo was supposed to be part of this unity, Musalia. Now, you guys met at the Mara. You say there was, you know, some progress, but the body language after that meeting seemed to be, like, nobody was excited
Whose
about
body
it.
language?
All of you people are standing like this, and Anatoli is talking to us.
When we arrived, when we left the Mara, it was very clearly agreed and understood that we let Francis Atwoli, as the convener of the meeting, talk to whoever wanted to be talked to on arrival. I didn't even know that you guys were waiting for us at the Wilson Airport. And I am very sure that when you have 2 or 3 politicians and you ask them to speak on the same thing, they'll say 3 different things. And the outcome of that would be confusion.
Right.
So we told Atwoli, you called us, we discussed, you know what we discussed, you know what we agreed, tell the media. And I think that was the correct thing to do. I have since told those who have asked me that what Atwoli said was correct, that the agenda we set is clearly the desire to have a united front, which everybody agrees with. I have walked the streets of Nairobi. People look very excited about it, and so on.
What has come out that the drift of these meetings is to have all of you back Musalia Mudavadi?
That is absolutely untrue. Let me tell you. Musalia found me in the presidential race. So did Jirongo. So did Eugene. So if that was the criteria, I'm not saying it is, then last in, last out.
Okay. If then you're trying to, you know, find a suitable candidate from Western Kenya whom the rest of you can back, but you're saying that you met at the Mara with people who are not their own people.
I didn't say that of the Mara meeting. I said of the new Ford Kenya discussions.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't say that of the Mara meeting.
Okay, so if the rest of them found you in the race, as you've just told us,
yes.
Is that to say then that you're negotiating to have them drop their bids and throw their weight behind you?
We can't negotiate from an anthill. Neither should we negotiate from rooftops, because it defeats the purpose of negotiation.
Okay.
When you are negotiating, there are all possibilities, every card is put on the table, and every outcome is possible. We are saying the reason we are in the race is because we believe we have the capacity, we have the will, we have the means to run and be the captain of this country.
Okay, let's get your opinions. Let's get your opinions, because Mutegi asked the question about the seriousness of your candidacy.
Yes.
I'll put that to David. How serious do you think this candidacy is?
Well, I don't think that Moses is serious about his bid for two reasons. First, like I said, he hasn't covered the territory, the whole country. I mean, his bid has still been concentrated in trying to get the rock support he needs in Bungoma, among the Luya, among the Bukusu particularly, to enable him sort of move ahead to negotiate, in my view, with other political parties. So it boils down to the whole thing of how far will this vehicle take us? Will it take us only up to Eldoret and then, unite with URP, or up to Kisumu and then flow into ODM? I mean, that is how I see his bid.
Mutegi, you asked the question. Clearly,
I obviously don't think Honorable Mheshimiwa here is serious. I haven't. If you go to where I come from, which is Eastern Province, you'll never hear his name. And he wants to be president of that region.
Mutegi, you hardly go home. I have had you hardly go home. I know you. I know where you live. I have been to Meru 4 times since I started my campaigns. And where I have been, I even have networks.
Who are your people there who you can say, this is my...
I have very substantial people there whom I work with. And that is my political secret. Why should I parade them here? I have people in Meru. I've been to Taraka, I've been to Timau, I've been to Maua, I've been to many places in Meru.
Okay.
And I've got very good political friends there.
Okay, in my negotiations at Masai, is there a possibility that you might want to offer yourself to step down for anybody? Or you must be in the ballot?
If you go to a talking and negotiating table, and you negotiate from a fixed position, then there's no point to negotiate. When you negotiate, you leave avenues of success open. You might succeed absolutely, you might succeed halfway, you may not succeed at all. We are talking as equals. If there emerges the first among equals, within a clear, well-negotiated, free and fair circumstances, we will be able to go with it.
What is the criteria for a first among equals?
Yes, I'm a bit concerned about what he ranks as rather equals. Isn't there some sort of seniority acknowledged within the 4 of you? First, that of course Musalia has the longest career in government, and he's been a vice president, even if it's for a couple of days. You have been foreign minister, you've been also long in there, and by the pecking order you are higher, and then perhaps Eugene, because now he's minister, and Jerome, who has been also in politics for a while and a minister in the previous government. Isn't there a recognition that Musalia is the senior, and therefore you people ought to be congregating around him? And secondly, I know that you used to support Musalia at one point.
Absolutely.
What happened?
During the old days, when Musalia attempted to become deputy within the defunct Kanu, I supported him against Jirongo. It's a historical fact. Politics is not static. And the fact that somebody was a vice president before doesn't necessarily put him ahead of the pecking order. So we must deal with circumstances as they unfold, as they come. And today, when we are talking about presidential candidates, we are not talking about the Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka is the current deputy CEO of the country. Why isn't he being ranked first among the contestants? Because he's a vice president. The dynamics are different.
Because of ratings. I mean, it's not rating.
When the
pollsters give us statistics, when pollsters give us statistics, he is nowhere near there. There are other people who are ahead of, because that's what Kenyans are choosing.
Yes.
And for you,
Yes.
you're nowhere in the statistics of the pollsters.
I'm nowhere in your mind, Mutegi.
In the statistics of pollsters,
those pollsters, I'm telling you, are choreographed.
Not necessarily, they're scientific.
In many ways.
They're scientific.
It is not. And I can tell you, even if
You're an educated person,
even if I was number one, I would still put question marks on that position. Because they are an indicator, but not an absolute
at least
direction.
you recognize
Yes.
they are an indicator.
Yes.
So what Mheshimiwa, what gives you, what merit do you have
Yes.
to want to rank above the other people within the Luya seeking the
You
presidency?
know, David, I have been in public life for a long time. It's not just a question about being Luya, because that is not a criteria
We're
to
looking
be,
at
to be the
among
president
four.
of
Yeah.
Kenya.
Right.
But I happen to be one. That is a fact I can't run away from. Kenyans are looking for a president with capacity. Kenyans are looking for a president with ability. Kenyans are looking for a president with ideas. Kenyans are looking for a president to build on what we have today from the three previous regimes, including the President Kibaki regime that is coming to an end, to take a trajectory to a new height for the country. That's what I'll offer. It will be foolhardy for you, anybody, to think that I am standing for the presidency because I'm a lawyer. But I did say, all politics are local. You must have a solid base to move to the national arena. Because even when you go around...
But you don't have that solid base.
When you
That's
go
what we're
around the
saying.
country...
You do not have that solid base.
That is what you think. I do have
But
a solid base.
In your area, you have 4 presidential candidates.
Yes.
That's not very solid.
How many presidential candidates are there from the central region?
There couldn't be many, but we know the one which is solid.
Yes.
We know the one which is
The
solid.
solid one will emerge from among us. We have 6 months to go. For heaven's sake.
Why is this? I mean, there seems to be the fact that your own bid is inspired by this logic that it's time for a Luya to be president, that we've been number 2 for too long. Is that really logical to say?
David, if you have been following what I've been saying, and I've said it many times, number one, I have never been number 2, so I cannot be saying I don't want to be number 2 again. I can't say that.
The Luyas.
I have heard some of my colleagues say, we've had Honorable Musalia had a stint as number 2. We've had the late Wamala Kijana. We've had Mude Awori. Now we can't be number 2 again. I have never said such a thing. In politics, anything is possible. Today, if, for example, one of us teamed up with a winning team and you are the running mate, you will end up number 2. So you cannot declare that you don't want to be what is possible to be. That I cannot
Let's
say.
talk about money.
Yes.
Do you have the money to run for presidency? You have helicopters, you have huge chunks of money.
There you go, again. Leadership is not about money.
You need infrastructural presence.
Yes, you need infrastructure. That we have. My party that I lead, Ford Kenya, is probably one of the few parties in this country that has a presence in each and every of the 210 constituencies with functional branches.
They all claim that.
That is a network.
All leaders of
This
political
is not
parties
a
make that
claim,
claim.
this is a fact. Number 2, when you have a network like that, then you have something to build on. Of course, for me to move from here to Meru, I need money to put fuel in my cars.
Sure.
For me to move from here to Tana River, if I have to take a flight, I need money to hire a plane. I don't own a helicopter. I don't think I can own one because I don't have the capacity to own one. But you can have as many helicopters as you can. That is not a qualification to become the president of this country. That is not necessarily going to endear you to the people of this country.
It enhances your abilities.
Okay. You talked about your ideas for Kenya, and we'll come back on that because we've got to take a break now. This is Cheche, the program where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. The SMS number is 2442, and the Twitter handle is Cheche_TV. When we come back, we focus on the Honorable Wetangula's performance as a minister.